Because we now present, as a special tribute to the actor Trevor Howard, who died yesterday, his classic film, Brief Encounter. And here's Iain Johnstone, film critic of the Sunday Times, to introduce it.
Trevor Howard carried a portmanteau of values through his films that you could almost rely on. He might appear stubborn, dogged, misguided, outwardly cruel, but you always knew that inside there was an uprightness and decency and honesty that was frequently too painful to bear. I suppose the mould was set in tonight's film, Brief Encounter. It started as a one-act play by Noel Coward and could, in hands other than those of David Lean, the director, and Celia Johnson and Howard, have seemed sentimental and slightly absurd. But here, 33 years ago, was as incisive a summation of the emotional contradictions of being English and in love as we've ever witnessed. Howard mastered the technique of conveying the turbulence within in a most stoical and tight-lipped fashion, but one which brilliantly communicated to the audience the voice of his heart. Nobody did it better. One only has to think of the moment in The Gift Horse when he's seemingly cheerfully hosting a Christmas party on his ship, although he's just had a telegram saying that his son has been killed. Or in Sons and Lovers, when he comes up with the body of his son from the pit and gives his wife a look that it would take a chapter of dialogue to interpret. He'd been a soldier himself in the war, and inevitably, in his career, he returned to uniform innumerable times. When he was in command, you knew who was in command.
Williams has been drinking seawater, sir. I was giving him some fresh water. I'm afraid he'll die without it.
You'll give no one water without my permission. Take that ladle below.
Yes, sir.
You bloody bastard!
You'll not put your foot on me again.
Howard and Brando didn't get on terribly well in that film. In fact, Howard summed up his co-star with the words, "Bugger him and his mumbling." He could never be accused of taking his career too seriously. He recalled once how he went with his friend Bernard Lee to see The Third Man, and they both came out in tears, thinking how terrible it was. But Howard's performance as the military police colonel, Calloway, was seen to be the most completely realised portrait in the film. One critic put his finger on his art when he noted, "It's built up, detail by detail, nothing superfluous, nothing exaggerated, until a whole man is put before us." Graham Greene loved the performance, and when he saw Howard as Scobie, in the heart of the matter, the police chief caught between a loveless marriage and the love of a native girl who sees suicide as his only noble solution, Greene confessed that Trevor Howard was the man he'd been writing about in all his works, the near gent combined with the man of action. Modern cinema doesn't deal in parts like Scobie and Calloway nowadays. As Howard said, "I'm offered more old rubbish than the dustman and expected to make something of it." But he leapt into buffoonery with wicked relish.
Speaking, when I've eaten something, I don't want to see it again.
Do you care to be fourth man, Sir Henry?
My dear lady, I wouldn't care to have been even the first.
He used to enjoy himself on location. There are traditional stories of him ending up in jail for trying to conduct an orchestra in Vienna, or ordering champagne for an entire nightclub in Paris when he hadn't a penny or a franc in his pocket. These legends grow in the telling, but there was no doubt he liked to drink. Someone once asked him why, and he replied, "It makes the world a nicer place." Well, he's left the world a richer place, thanks to a body of performances that may have taught us more about ourselves than we would want to know. Never more so than in Brief Encounter.